You're standing at the edge of a balcony, just looking at the view, and out of nowhere your brain whispers, "What if you jumped?" Not because you want to, not because anything is wrong. It's just there for half a second, and then it's gone. And you're left standing there wondering what that was, and why your own mind would even say something like that. Here's the part nobody tells you. That thought is so common it has a name, and almost everyone has had some version of it. Today, we're going through the thoughts that live in the back of people's minds, the ones that show up uninvited, get pushed away immediately, and never get talked about because everyone assumes they're the only one having them. Spoiler, you're not. Let's get into it. The first one is something psychologists call the high place phenomenon. It's that flicker of an urge to jump when you're somewhere high up, a balcony, a bridge, a cliff edge. Studies have found this happens to a huge number of people who have zero desire to actually do it. One theory is that your brain registers the danger of the height and sends out a kind of warning signal, and that signal gets misread as an impulse. It's not a death wish. It's closer to your brain double-checking that you're paying attention to where the ground isn't. The fact that it's startling is actually a good sign. It means your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to, just a little clumsily. Then there's the thought almost nobody admits to, the flash of relief or even satisfaction when something bad happens to someone you don't particularly like. Maybe a coworker who's always taking credit for your work finally messes up in front of everyone, and for 1 second before you catch yourself, there's this tiny spark of good. Then immediately the guilt shows up, because what kind of person feels good about someone else's bad day? But this reaction is so universal that German even has a word for it, Schadenfreude, pleasure derived from someone else's misfortune. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It usually means that person has been getting under your skin for a while and your brain just cashed in on the moment. I want to know which of these you've actually experienced, because I have a feeling more people relate to this list than will ever admit it out loud. Drop a comment with the number that hit closest to home, even if it's just a 1 or a 2. Sometimes seeing that you're not the only one is half the relief. Next, the thought that creeps in during a perfectly normal moment with someone you love. You're hugging them, or watching them sleep, or just sitting across from them at dinner, and out of nowhere your brain produces a flash of them getting hurt, or you hurting them, or them being gone. It's horrifying, it lasts less than a second, and you immediately want to scrub it from existence. Here's what's actually happening. This is called an intrusive thought, and research on intrusive thoughts has found that the vast majority of people, regardless of mental health, experience violent or disturbing flashes like this from time to time. The content of the thought isn't a reflection of what you want. It's almost the opposite. These thoughts tend to show up most around the people and things you care about the most, because your brain is essentially running a worst-case simulation on the things that matter to you. The horror you feel afterward is the proof that it means nothing. People who actually want to do harm don't feel that wave of disgust. You do. And that's the whole story. Another one. You're lying in bed at night and you start imagining your own funeral, who would show up, what they'd say, whether your phone would just sit there with unread messages forever. It's not necessarily about wanting to die. A lot of the time, it's almost the opposite. It's your brain trying to figure out if you matter, if you're seen, if your absence would actually register to anyone. It's an uncomfortable kind of self-check, and most people have run it at least once, usually during a quiet moment when there's nothing else to distract them from their own thoughts. If any of this is landing for you, that's honestly the goal. A lot of these thoughts feel like proof that something's wrong with you, when really they're proof that you're a normal brain doing normal brain things in a world that never taught us this stuff. If this is helping tapping like helps this reach the people who needed to hear it today, the ones quietly wondering if they're the only ones, here's one that's a little different. The thought that everyone around you secretly doesn't actually like you, that they're just being polite, and the second you leave the room, they're relieved. This one doesn't usually arrive as a flash. It builds. You replay a conversation from earlier, you notice someone took a few extra seconds to reply to a text, and your brain starts stitching together a story where you're the problem. This is sometimes linked to something researchers call the liking gap, where people consistently underestimate how much others actually enjoy their company after a conversation. Both people walk away thinking it went worse than it did, so that voice telling you everyone secretly tolerates you, statistically speaking, it's probably wrong, and it's probably wrong about the other person too. Now, out of everything we've covered, which thought do you think people feel the most shame about admitting? Is it the dark flash about someone they love, the funeral daydream, the relief at someone else's bad day, or the high place thing? I'm genuinely curious where the line is for most people, so drop your pick in the comments, because the answers usually surprise me. And here's one last one before we wrap up. The thought that you're somehow faking your whole personality, that the version of you other people know isn't really you, it's just a performance you've gotten good at, and one day, someone's going to see through it. This is closely related to imposter syndrome, but it goes a layer deeper than just feeling unqualified at work. It's feeling unqualified at being yourself. The strange comfort here is that this thought almost only shows up in people who are deeply self-aware, people who think a lot about how they come across, which usually means they're paying more attention to other people's feelings than the average person ever does. The fact that you're worried about being fake is, ironically, a pretty strong sign that you're not. If you've made it this far, you've basically just gone through a quiet little tour of the human mind's weirdest back rooms, and hopefully walked away from at least one of these feeling a little less alone in it. If you want more of this kind of thing, the strange, unspoken stuff that almost nobody puts into words, subscribing means you won't miss the next one. And honestly, these topics land a lot better with people who've already been through one of these with us. At the end of the day, the thoughts on this list don't define you. They're more like background noise your brain produces while the real you, the one making choices, showing up for people, getting through the day, just keeps going underneath it all. The noise isn't the signal. You are.